Tennessee is known for its music, its whiskey, its food, and good old Southern hospitality. But that's just the beginning. From back roads to main streets, we're digging into the people, places, and moments that shape the state. This is Tennessee Unpacked.
Welcome to the Tennessee Unpacked podcast, recorded center stage here at the beautiful Mule House in Columbia, Tennessee. I am one of your hosts, Ryan French with Experience Tennessee, today joined by Kelly Johnson.
Hello.
With Columbia Main Street.
There it is. Thanks for having me.
I didn't mess it up either.
You did it right.
So today we're actually going to be unpacking something that's near and dear to your heart, or should be if you're Columbia Main Street director, I would say.
Yeah, you know, it was one of those gifts passed to me.
Yeah.
And I definitely have made it my own. So yeah, I'm ready to talk about it, but I'm ready to have somebody else help me talk about it.
So what are we talking about?
You know, we're talking about First Fridays in downtown Columbia. And it's one of those things that our community has become a staple event. And I think they would riot if we took it away. So
I think you'd probably have a regional riot if you took it away.
Probably.
It's a pretty popular event.
It's a popular event that not only draws our residents out for it, but definitely like the people from Murfreesboro and Franklin and all the way down to Athens, Alabama. So it's a cool community event. I am grateful that it's part of the downtown district because it absolutely encompasses all things Columbia wants to be known for and more. So for me as the Main Street director, being able to be part of the vision of how it's come about 5 years in and now 5 years after, I love it. I'm ready to talk through it so that you will be at the next one.
Well, I know from an outsider perspective, as far as working in regional tourism, I think like the benchmark for me is when people use you as the example.
Oh, I love that.
So when you go to different communities, like, oh, we want to do something like, you know, what
Columbia's doing.
What they're doing for First Fridays, or I get Winchester downtown a lot. We want to do what they're doing in there in Columbia.
In Columbia.
But yeah, when you have an event that people kind of make as that staple, when they're trying to replicate something in their communities, I think that's the benchmark that I use regionally.
It's a thing that we want to be known for. And even more importantly, it's not something we created truly from scratch. And we were able to look at other communities outside of Tennessee as a benchmark too. So I think when you find something that works for your community, take it and repeat it and create it your own way. But the event side of programming anything in a downtown community is absolutely worth it. It's a lot of legwork, a lot of logistics, but any community, if you think about a community that's successful, they probably have a successful event that is annual or monthly for them. And that's what the community is known for, typically. Typically,
yeah. So today we'll talk a little bit about how it's going now, obviously, and what's next for First Fridays, but we're going to talk a little bit about how it got started.
Love it. I'm ready to dive in.
All right. So who did you bring with us today?
Yeah, the one and only, my favorite person to talk through a lot of things that come through downtown, branding expert, but also somebody who's living it on the small business side, the family side, and has been here, I think, your whole life. Bryson Leach. Hey. Welcome. I brought Bryson, Ryan, and you're going to fall in love with Bryson through his, like, just what he's learned, but also how he continues to, like, be a small business owner in downtown Columbia. So I wanted him to be on the podcast today because I'm like, I call Bryson more than I probably should because something comes up and I'm like, I got to call Bryson because he either has a good idea that he can help me through it or he's lived it already and can give me feedback or really just a new idea with it. So Bryson was an easy call when we started talking about First Fridays. And it's because he was part of the original kind of team that came together. And I want him to kind of share with the community, like how this event evolved. Because I was not part of it. I was not part of the original conversation. So Bryson, what are your thoughts? A lot of them.
Well, first shout out. I mean, on the design side, you designed the Tennessee Unpacked logo.
I did, yes.
So there's this little shout out to that effort, and that's appreciated, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a branding expert. I mean, I'm not joking about that. Like when you need something good in downtown Columbia, he's probably touched it with his design efforts. So yeah, small business owner, and you do have a retail shop in downtown, but he does not have a branding storefront, which he probably needs it.
Yeah. Since I interrupted, I'll reframe the question. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Columbia.
Sure. So I grew up here in Columbia. Apparently, it's getting more rare for me to say that
Unicorn.
these days. And lived a short stint in Franklin, and kind of felt got married, lived in Franklin for about 4 or 5 years. Right about the time Franklin was starting to kind of blow up, I was working in Franklin, and my wife started working in Columbia, and as a teacher. And then she moved on to be a retail store manager here in town at Lily Jane at the time. And on the weekends, she was just like, I have to work a Saturday. What are we going to do? I was like, well, I'll just come down to Columbia and hang out. And so I would hang out at Muletown Coffee in its little original shop by myself, and started to which is a great spot in a small town to start to meet people. And I'd sit there and just piddle and do, and I don't remember if I was working full time at the time. I don't remember if I had any extra work or anything, but I was, working for myself or whatever, and started to get to know everybody in town and on these Saturdays. And I was like, man, something, Susan was saying it, my wife Susan was like, I don't know, something's going on. I think, maybe we should move back. And
What year was this?
2015, I think.
Cool.
2015, 2016.
Because I think Muletown Coffee, what you just mentioned, they opened around 2013. Like, they were still pretty new for our downtown.
Yeah.
And so was Puckett's. Like, that was two kind of pivotal businesses.
I remember after college time-ish, my parents still live here, and my mom was like, hey, there's a new coffee shop in town. And this was also right at the beginning of like third wave coffee. And so Nashville, like, Barista Parlor was new, and of course I was in Franklin. I was full on millennial snob. So my mom was like,
I want to know what that that meant.
you had the boots with the rolled up jeans and the stomp clap music. You were just all into. And so my mom was like, yeah, there's a new coffee shop in downtown Columbia. And at the time I was like,
what is Columbia?
She's like, they make their own coffee beans. I was like, whatever, and eventually it's one of those interesting stories of just kind of getting softened. And I see that, side note, I see that every day still, like,
of a softening or like
not
becoming.
Yeah. I mean, I think I remember actually being at a tourism thing, and the guy was making a presentation, and just said, like, people start to say, I can see myself living here. And like, that's the kind of goal you want in tourism, is for people to visit a place and say that to themselves. And that was slowly happening to me and my wife. And of course, again, like, my parents lived here, her parents live here, so we were like, well,
makes sense.
And so we kind of started looking, and I was working full time in Franklin, and so I was like, all right, I can commute. So like, we bought a house in downtown Columbia, and started working here. She was still working retail, all that kind of stuff. We started our own business. My wife, when she was a teacher, started quilting and she was quilting so much, I had nothing to do. So I started working outside, doing woodworking and like piddling out there. And so I started making things with my hands and enjoying doing that. And so that's where our business, Needle and Grain, came from. It was literally like, we just made crafts and sold them. And when we moved to Columbia, something just was like, what if we tried to open a retail store? There was an opportunity, there was the Columbia Arts Building had just been opened, which at the time literally was a 3-story like warehouse, and we rented out a 900 square foot opening in the side of the building. We're like, it might work, I don't know. And and it kind of did. And so anyway, we have a retail store in downtown Columbia. We've moved a few times. Now we're here. I opened my office in the back, and I do full-time graphic design, signage. I call it experience design. Anytime you're physically touching and being a part of, or, I say I kind of steward small spaces and small places. And so that's the two.
What a catchphrase right
Thank
there.
You. I thought of it one day in the shower, and I was like, that
Nice.
should be my Instagram bio. So.
There you go. He's not giving his small business enough emphasis too, because it is still him and his wife doing it, but it's Needle and Grain, and it has evolved over time, like you've said, but it's very much that mercantile place that you go in and you can find something for your
We're
home.
working on it's actually today, I think they lifted the embargo, but we just received an Amex Main Street grant to
Woo!
expand our refillery station. So
Yeah,
we're
you make your
tripling
own.
the size of our refillery for local, soaps and
Laundry soap.
detergents and a lot of those refillable zero waste things. So we've seen a lot of success as we grew that, and we were able to get this grant to triple the size of it. So
You go,
that's
Bryson.
in process right now. So hopefully we'll have that in the next
You heard
few
it
weeks.
live, everyone. The refillery is happening.
Yeah.
Times 3.
Which it's the reason why is because in Colombia, it's the interest has every year it's 100% increase for us, and so we're just like leaning into that.
Because of the growth of our community
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
things that people want while they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bryson talked about kind of starting at the Columbia Arts Building, which is in the Arts District. And then your next location was downtown and in the new South Marketplace, which is all in like that downtown district.
We opened a separate toy store at the time downtown. We kind of were like, what if we split it? Because we had a ton of toys and that was very popular, so we split it, and then
Brought it all back in-house.
brought it back in house into one place to
Yeah,
just
so
felt like a good time to do
now you have this one business in the heart of downtown Columbia, which is now where our First Fridays takes place and where the community truly gathers and hangs out. And you're right around the corner from Muletown Coffee, the
Yep.
local stomping ground for you. Again, I think a lot of impact of you as a business owner. It shows you've been around for now. How long have y'all been in business?
gosh.
More than 12 years? Almost
We've been
15?
a retail store since 2016,
Okay.
so 10 years.
10 years this year. I think that just shows like Columbia really has had, it's not always been the most successful town.
Yeah, I think the timeline is interesting because I was gonna ask just from the retail side of things, like how have you seen the growth? I mean, from the arts district, it's busy itself, but what have you seen as far as a business owner, the growth and the expansion of your clientele?
The key word would be very slow patience. I'm in charge of the money in our business. Reluctantly, I don't like doing it, but kind of have to. So I think, Arts Building, when we were there, it was very small. We kind of anchored it because we had a decent following on Instagram, like at the time. And that helped kind of bring people over there. The people who had originally bought it were willing to kind of be patient and invest. So like we were in there, and then eventually my friend Shell opened a donut shop, which really helped pull that food crowd over. And it's been such a waiting game. I mean, the blessing for us was like I did have my own business to kind of keep everything afloat. And truthfully, I think you may find that in a lot of small towns and a lot of downtowns is that
There's more than one business.
Yeah, God bless the retail stores, and I'm so happy they're here. But the reality likely is that they're being propped up by a spouse or a partner who is
Right.
probably paying the bills to make it be there. And
Right.
I don't think they get enough credit for that. And the
both
fact
places.
that people are sacrificing to have these businesses on these squares to keep the amenity and the value here, but it's
Y'all started though, because you mentioned Susan being in the school district and then she was doing the quilting on the side. Y'all started though more vendor based.
Yeah, we were online and we were vendors like at First Fridays.
Pop-ups, yeah.
We did tents at barn markets and any kind of little craft fair, especially at the Christmas time, summertime.
Yeah.
Sweltering heat kind of stuff.
Rain, weather. You didn't know what you were going to be experiencing.
we would do like $200-300 and just were tickled that we did it, on a Saturday kind of thing. So,
yeah. I think community events, like we were talking at the beginning of it, they definitely have a draw for people to just have a different experience in a moment. They're a lot of work, especially for the vendors who do pop up at them. So I think a lot of people like you who are currently in it are ready for that next step, that potential brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. But it's a waiting, patient game for it to happen and for it to happen correctly.
And internet saved us a lot.
Yeah.
When you're asking about the history of things, like we did. The internet has always kind of helped us stay consistent have a consistent income because of social media, drives your fans to buy the things, and then we're shipping out all the time, and COVID kind of hit at a point that like benefited us in a way because everybody was like, we got to support small. I mean, we joked about at one point we called it puzzle apocalypse, but there was this period of time where we were doing 600 to 800 puzzles a month.
Wow.
Like we were trying to find every
Puzzle
single puzzle dealer on the internet. It was like, do you have puzzles? Like people want puzzles. And so like we were just bringing in as many, like selling so many puzzles. And so for several months during COVID, like puzzles kept us in business.
Yeah.
Puzzles might be like my worst place. Like I am not a puzzler.
Yeah.
So to think about like that during COVID, I'm just like,
Yeah.
what an awful time.
Yeah.
But that was like, that happened. And then after COVID, we've kind of seen, it stayed decently, it kind of dips way
Sure.
down and back up and down. And so,
Yeah.
which is life.
Well, I think it's something to be said, going back to what you said about the sacrifices people bring or make to bring a business downtown. It's an investment in the experience, really, and I think that's kind of a thing. Looking at your track record, particularly with getting involved in First Fridays from the early stages, like I think that kind of bleeds into that same mentality. Take us back to how your involvement with First Fridays started.
Talked about Instagram, especially. There was a period of time, probably in the earlier days of Instagram, where really what it was about was taking cool pictures.
Yeah.
So you saw this like growth of just accounts that posted beautiful pictures of things.
Yeah.
And
they grew.
And I've always was into photography. I got my start as a photographer. And
I didn't know that.
Before I was a designer, I was doing weddings and things like that. And I got really into like food photography, and that was kind of where I ended, was because food didn't complain as much. But
And it tasted good at the end. You're like, yeah, I'm good for this one.
But so Instagram account, I was still living in Franklin, but my wife was in Columbia, and I was just like, Columbia should have an Instagram account that just shows how cool Columbia is. And that hadn't existed. At the same time, there's all these like Nashville accounts and Franklin accounts where it was just like, I'm taking beautiful, perfectly centered filtered photos of these places. And I was like, well, I know Columbia and all this stuff. So I did that. And so I just created an account. I called it My Columbia TN, and just started taking photos of Columbia. And every weekend when I was down there, or when I was at my parents' or whatever, just go around. I'd like spend the day just taking photos, and started posting those. And that got a pretty good, just kind of naturally blew up that way. I eventually, in my design thing, I was like, this should have a logo. So I came up with a mule.
The iconic
design.
mule sticker.
Oh yeah.
Dude sitting
So
here created that.
Little mule with a crooked ear.
Yeah, you've sold a bunch of stickers. You've sold a bunch of stickers to me. Actually, I'm a sticker. I'm a
Snob.
sticker. Yeah,
You can say it.
I'm very much sticker. I do want to point out, while you're speaking on Instagram, it's brought up multiple times for all you Gen Zers out there. Us millennials had Instagram first, and I would argue actually used it the correct way. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
Setting the stage
that's
correct,
almost-
real
yeah,
quick.
certainly it has shifted entirely.
It has,
the what it was, but
Oh,
at
yeah.
the time I was able to, in some ways, I guess by luck, and
Do well. Yeah.
in a local small town instance, I think by the end of it I had about 10,000 followers, which is a lot, I suppose. And now it's like, well, that's cute, but at the time it felt like a lot.
Yeah.
And
Well, you weren't dancing for
Not yet.
I'm saying
and
this.
so Susan, my wife, was downtown, and when I started getting to know all these other folks downtown, and I honestly can't remember the exact moment, meet cute, if you will, but the Bonnie, who owns Blue 32, had come to me at some point and was like, I had heard of this thing where other cities where it's like one night a month. I believe actually it kind of came from Florence, Alabama.
Yes.
They have a First Friday,
And that's who we've looked at a lot for our event.
They had a First Fridays for years.
Yes.
And she was kind of like,
Let's do it.
we did this? And I was like, that's a great idea. And I think originally, like, it was just like, well, how can we do this with the least amount of friction / oversight / red tape? Because I know in Florence they block streets and put tents up, and it's a whole deal. And we were like, well, we're just two people. I don't know about that. So her idea was like, why don't we just anybody who wants to participate stays open till 8 p.m. on the first Friday of every month. And I was like, that's easy. We don't have to do anything else, And she was like, and if people want to play music on the square, they'll
Great.
set up. And that's kind of, and I was like, sure. And so I'll use my mule sticker, which at the time had kind of blown up too. I was selling hundreds of them and giving out hundreds and all this kind of, everybody had them on their cars. At one point it was
Everywhere.
it was wild. I was like, wow.
Infiltrated.
And that one was, side note, was also inspired by the 30A for a while. 30A had a sticker for a while that was like the 3 with the sun, and like everybody had those in their car. And I was like, can I do that for Columbia?
Yeah.
And that was kind of how that happened. But so that was going on. Anyway, I had the Instagram account. So I was like, well, I'll just use my Instagram account. And I made a poster that said First Fridays, and that was as basically as what it was. And it worked. I don't know.
It worked, Bryson. Period.
Yeah.
It worked.
And it was as simple as saying, hey, everybody, because at the time, all the retailers were just like, we all close at 5. We're like, what if we close at 8?
Yeah.
And that was really it. And
Who were those retailers, though? You mentioned Bonnie at Blue. So it was her.
Bonnie's kind of involved in like everything.
She's got her hands in a lot. She's been a similar time frame as Bryson, though. Like she probably came in 2012, 2013 with it.
She was I don't remember if she was actually.
She was in Walker Street and then moved over
I
to
can't remember if
downtown.
she was on Walker Street during First Fridays, or she must have been in her new spot at that time. Because there is a thing that you'll notice about retailers, at least in Columbia, when we do have these, like, you will find certain ones like me and Bonnie who are like, all right, how can I get more customers? And we're ingenuitive.
Correct.
We're going to find really creative ways to do that.
To do it.
Because, putting an inflatable man or whatever out front doesn't work. So you got to find these ways to drive people to these places. And that was the way to do it. It was so basic. I mean, again.
Well, and then you had Lily Jane too. So like your wife was working with
so
at
she
that
was
time
able
Lucy.
to jump in on that. And it was most of the people were like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like 2 more hours. That's not much more.
Not too, but it really wasn't that heavy on the retail yet. Like it was like the ones that were there agreed to it at least. Like it was very much like try it, let's do it. And that's a hard mentality to change for any small business, because now you're committing 3 additional hours of your time for a potential one customer to come in.
Which, I mean, for most probably is, I don't know, $30-$50.
Yeah.
But time is money.
Yeah. And so it wasn't, using social media helped so much of the time.
Absolutely.
And then we saw it just grow that way. And again, we were just like, every month, no exceptions.
No exceptions.
Because again, it wasn't
manned. It truly was organic.
And I mean, and I don't know if you plan on talking about it later, but essentially it just organically, everybody would call, like, who do I call? How do I do this? And we're like, do whatever you want. Like, we just didn't have, we also, like, on purpose, we're like, this is
meant to be,
like, I'm not in charge, because people are like, you're in charge, right? And I'm like, of nothing. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you just do it, I guess.
I found that if you make the flyer, you are in charge.
And I mean, that kind of was.
And that's where Bonnie got to. So I think at that point, our event, like the early stages of it, in 2015, I was just about to graduate high school. And so for me, coming down with my high school boyfriend, I was like, why would I go to downtown Columbia? I'll go to Puckett's. Like, that was it. But then going into college, 2016, 2017, it's like my mom was very adamant of, you need to come see this, like, fun strolling event we have in downtown. I'm like, Columbia's lame, Mom. Like, I don't really want to come back yet. And then it was
I had the same, I think
story. Everybody did at that time. And it was like, really, it wasn't until a few years of that event continuing because of y'all, because of the people who kept open late and like the buskers that came, the music that was truly like on a city bench. It had years of consistency of what it was, that it became the talk where I was in Nashville for school and I heard about it with my friends there. And I'm like, man, maybe Mom was right this time. Yeah. Maybe I should go see it.
Yeah. I mean, and it got to the point where like we were at that other location about 2 blocks away. You could still walk, and the restaurants were so full on Friday nights that there were wait lists and people were getting mad. Yeah. And so I was like, well, maybe food trucks. And so we brought food trucks. I started, like, it became a full-time job. A part of, like, I had to pay one of my employees extra
to manage the food trucks,
coordinate food trucks, to get them once a month, to find them, to like get them to come. And we were managing, we were able to get food trucks from Nashville
Yeah.
who would come in. They're like, "This is the best Friday we'll have every month.
Yeah.
Please can I come back?"
It was-
We're like, "Really?"
Yeah.
In Nashville too? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
okay. Which at the end of the time, like, we had a city that was like hungry for new and like cool, and you got pieces of Nashville coming down, and that was a cool experience.
Yeah.
I joke, but like we had a lot of people in Spring Hill who would be like, which is just north of here. I've just never been to Columbia. I always go to Franklin.
Yeah.
And so it was just like
It was baffling, the people who had not been to Columbia from Spring Hill, and you're like, are you like, this is not a foreign country. We're 15 minutes. We're same county, y'all.
Yeah.
They have the Costco. We don't. I mean, I understand it.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, but I think it's interesting going back to how it started, because I think a lot of downtown areas, it's like everybody wants to be the new hip Main Street, right? But you probably need to be the downtown program first, or
Probably.
it's like when First Friday started, it's let's just stay open later, because there's that problem, right? I can think of a handful of communities now that's a problem, where at 4 o'clock they roll the carpets up and they go home, and commerce stops. But it's interesting that it starts there, and then that's the business owners putting faith in, okay, somebody's going to market this, someone's going to promote this, and so I am going to take this extra $50 in payroll and invest into being open. But then from there, the demand takes on.
Right.
The directions you mentioned food trucks. Well, that's the first demand, right? Like you go from the restaurants, we have plenty of space, to there's a wait list.
There's a 2.5-hour wait list. We're going to die.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
what-
interesting, because like we're like the tension of, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take people away from you, but they were like, thank you, because I'm also having poor customer experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and now you have people like Bryson who were vendor based beforehand. Now you had them. They're like, I'm going to monopolize on all this crowd. Can I set up in front of your storefront? Which then led to miles of just vendors on our sidewalks, it felt like, and people were selling all different things. Like it was truly just like what is happening now? Because this event has become so cool and popular across the entire district. But
when it started to get so large, it actually became a problem, because we started to hear people like, oh, I'm not going.
Yeah, it's too crowded.
It's too crowded. I can't get around. I'm going to get hit by a car.
Right.
I can't even fit down the sidewalks because of the vendors.
My stroller doesn't fit.
Yeah,
like
and
I'm going to trip.
It was an interesting problem. Good problem, I guess.
Good problem, yet it was...
We eventually had to Main Street in the city were like, hey, if we don't do something, we're going to have to shut this down for safety reasons. And that's, Main Street started to get involved and refine it to become what it is now, which is more of a safer, open walkable space.
Yeah. And that's what you want. You want your chief of police to come to you and say, we have a good problem, but now it's your problem to fix. So you've got to shut this event down for safety purposes, and you need a management. And you're like, that's good. Like we've hit the 600 people mark. Like this is more than 600 people in a common space without a mass gathering. No, like we were averaging more than 2,000 people on our downtown sidewalks in an hour. Like it definitely was a high traffic, popular event. But you're correct. Like Bryson, I think you have to make difficult decisions like that, because we were losing our tourists. No, we were losing our residents coming to these events, or like our local residents, because our tourists were so infatuated with this idea of like coming and seeing it. But now our residents were getting ticked off, and it's like, you have to have a fine line.
Yeah. And that, it's in a tourism space, which you guys know this probably more than I do, but like even in Columbia, we still rely heavily on
tourism.
Locals.
And locals.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a 50-50. You need both.
Well, even probably the smaller the town, especially in small downtowns, most of their customers are locals. And if you start to disrupt them, like
their bad taste will not share their...
Columbia's tourism is obviously increasing, but most of my revenue comes from about 50 people. And I baby them, you want to take care of those people. So like when First Fridays and you start hearing locals be like, I'm not coming anymore, you're like, But when we shifted to be more open, I actually could show on a chart where our revenue spiked back up because
we listened to the residents first.
Well, people were like, "Oh, I want to come back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to come check it out again. Like, this is worth seeing," because it did get to a point when it was a free for all. People were like, "I'm not going down there. It's too much."
Yeah. So I think all of Southern Middle Tennessee has probably seen the shift of our once tourists, and those tourists once from Florida and California and Michigan are now our residents.
Yeah.
And those residents are asking for those wholesome community events and places where they have the things that they can buy and can be part of the local fabric and thread
I see
of
those
just the things.
conversions all the time.
Yeah, and it's like that's our new customer base in downtown. That's like how we kind of shifted our First Fridays, specifically this year. Even like, yeah, we shifted it a few years ago, but it was because we had our head in the sand too. Of this event has been great since 2017. This event has done well for the community. It has brought the traffic we want. But if we don't shift it, we will be eaten alive by the consequences that are coming from it, because we're letting it continue to have people selling from the middle of the street in the back of their truck and frying donuts in the middle of the street. Like, there was just things where you're like, y'all, we are no longer a small town. We are a bigger fish now.
My personality too, because when it was I'll be like, hey, I don't like what they're doing, but I can't. I'm somebody else. Tell them.
Right.
It's just not my personality. I couldn't.
Yeah. Can we talk about the shift? Like what happened for us?
I think that's fascinating, because to me, it all seems very organic. Again, from an outside perspective, just like the refillery, like I've seen that go from what I thought was like a trendy thing to now moving into more of a lifestyle and a necessity. Like you're literally going to the grocery. Like that's
right.
But I do think from a visitor perspective, like one of the things that we're always looking at is like, yeah, you got the 50 plus, which is your tourist, quote unquote, that's your tourist. But for visitation perspective, like even within that 0 to 50 range, like if someone's coming from outside of the county to visit First Fridays, or to be here for a ball tournament or whatever, I do think that there's a visitation element to that. And then that's something where the refillery, for example, can meet a need in a regional way too. But yeah, that shift, let's talk a little more about that. How did we get to where we are today, and what's the expectation this year? I mean, I think we need to talk a little bit about that. There's a lot of First Fridays left.
So Brian, that was a mix of both.
Yeah. Bryson
used to sit on the Columbia Main Street board, and that was very purposeful of like downtown business person, but also somebody who kind of had that vision. I started 4 years ago, and First Fridays was one of my first conversations with the board of we probably need to address it. Because I even got to the point that first year I was like, I don't like going to First Fridays because of how unorganized it is and how much of a, randomness that was coming from it. But I think the board had that vision of we want to listen to our residents, but we also want to listen to our downtown merchants. So having that balance. So 2024, the board took management of that event, and that being the Columbia Main Street board. And the vision was, let's put a small charge fee for vendors to set up, being $25, so that they at least have a buy-in, which they never had a buy-in before. But we will pick and choose which vendors do get to set up each month, and having kind of a balance so that we're not too heavy on certain events, because we want those residents and our tourists who are coming to the event to be able to shop, but also learn about local things and local things happening. And I think we learned very quickly that first year that tourists don't necessarily care about your local nonprofits and your local air conditioning companies or dentist office. They absolutely want to shop and have fun. But the way First Fridays had evolved, it very much felt like this was our community event. Like our community business owners wanted to be part of it. So we had to listen to that. Like it was almost like you can't slap them out of this equation. They were part of the growth of being a vendor at First Fridays. They also provided kind of those free things. But
also, side note with what we said about Instagram and Facebook, the way it shifted, it was so hard to advertise. Like, hey, if I can have a $25 booth and talk to people in person, that was a great way for my business to
grow for it,
just to connect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even with that shift, with now us truly advertising for the event, beforehand, we had just used Bryson's logo that he had created for First Fridays years before. And we were just kind of throwing up a promotion randomly, or we'd put it in a magazine saying like, hey, there's this event every month, but we don't really have anything to tell you about who's going to be there or what's going to be happening. We just kind of expect things to be there and things to happen. But then with us marketing and branding it, we were like, we've got to identify the actual values for the event, which were vendors, food trucks, and live music. But it was also, and businesses staying open late, which was it's still something now that we have a hard time with getting all of our business owners to stay open past that 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. time frame. But on First Fridays, it's a guaranteed. They're like, we will do it. And I think that they do have the value add to it. But now, where for First Fridays has shifted, Bryson created us the new logo. And we wanted our community to see that this event is for them. But we also wanted the community's buy-in. So we've created themes with First Fridays. And we've also now extended our events to be a closed off streets where there are dedicated areas for the kids and the game zone and for food trucks. So now as a visitor coming to this event, you've got several blocks closed down with over 60 vendors selling crafts. But then you also have some of our downtown retailers who are bringing their stuff outside. So it's, I don't know, it's past their brick and mortar of what they're able to do now as well. But the event, I think for First Fridays, like if any visitor comes to that event, they get to see just like your community's open house.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of
It's
putting.
like a showcase of Columbia in a way.
Yeah, it's meant to be an exposure opportunity for our downtown to show off our best face. It's meant for the community to have something that's safe to do, that's not feeling, I don't know, you're not positioned to be, it's not political. It's very much just a fun community event where you can relax and have fun. But we definitely still are missing the boat on some things when it comes to our tourists. Like they ask, like, where should we park? Park wherever you can find a spot. Like you gotta figure it out. Like there's some things where it's like, we've not positioned this event to be a thousands and thousands of persons event. Like we very much still want it to be for our residents and for our locals to come have fun. But we still have a ways to go with it. And I think even with the business owners, I know this year we closed down Bryson Street. And I don't know if you want to touch on any of that, like if that's been better, having more streets closed than what we originally started with.
I don't have enough to be nerdy. I don't have enough data. I don't know. I can't tell.
You know,
If you, this question kind of, I guess for Bryson first, but like if you could go back to that original group that started this, what advice would you give them as to where it's grown today?
Honestly, I don't think I would change anything about how it happened because it was so organic. I actually found myself applying that to other things when people would ask me. I remember being asked about how to do a First Fridays in other towns, and I was like, listen, just do it. Just find a way to do it with the least amount of
red tape.
And I don't like saying that because that's not negative.
It's not a bad thing.
Like,
yeah.
It's more of like, do it in a way that you feel like is obviously safe, but a way that doesn't involve decision making and groupthink and things like that. Because again, it was so simple. Like, let's just stay open till 8. Identifying that one thing, because again, I think that whole staying open to 8 thing was people get off work at 5. Most small businesses are closed at 5. What if one day a month we stayed open a little later so those people can come down and go eat it at a shop and eat downtown and shop at the same time? And that was so basic. And then organically, just like as things come up, address it then and see what happens. Because I think also there's a problem of if you want to do an event and you get a board together and a committee, it may not get off the ground because of so many different
opinions. Yeah.
Again, nothing wrong with that, but if you can identify something that is so basic and so simple, and you can have a singular voice to advertise that like this, then start there. And that, I mean, I guess that's how I wouldn't change much about it in that way.
I was going to ask you both, like, why do you think it survived? But to where it's at and how it's, where other events kind of sometimes fade away. This one just continues to pick up power. But I definitely think it's because of that organic growth and then fitting the need of the demand. Like the demand changes a little bit. So we're going to we're transitioning and fit that demand. I think a lot of events, when they jump out, they see the end result. They're like, oh, well, because I go back to using you as the bar, right? We want to do what Columbia is doing, and they immediately jump into what's happening today without building that foundation long term. And that makes a big difference because you've built that reputation and that expectation, and it's something that everyone wants to go to. It's so it's certainly, I would say it has grown to be one of the staple events in our region, certainly from a consistency standpoint. I think every year there's just a handful of events that come to mind that you don't want to miss, but it's definitely one of them. So just real quickly, what we got this year, what are you looking forward to most that's happening this year that people can come and visit?
I definitely want to touch on the themes. So with us creating a community component to First Fridays, the themes are meant to be reflective of people who attend the event. It's not meant to be something that my vendors do or dress up for, but something that the now attendees can be like, oh, I can be part of this event without being truly part of it. And so like in June, we had Luau and we've had Muletown. April was our Muletown celebration, which was for Mule Day kickoff. But I'm excited because in September, we as a community are proclaiming that we are the fruit tea capital and the fruit tea town, hence my Quick Mart fruit tea.
Made at Quick Mart.
Quick Mart shell. Yeah. But we're because of that proclamation, because we're doing the fruit teaser event, my First Fridays theme for September is spill the tea. And so we'll be promoting like the idea of like, this is coming next weekend. Make sure you're there at the event. Our November one traditionally has been our tree lighting ceremony. Mm-hmm. And that theme we're doing again, like the holiday kickoffs, because I think Bryson can like attest to this in almost any downtown retailer. The sooner you start promoting Christmas time, people start shopping it. And like, no, we don't want to promote it come July and like August timeframe, but like the sooner the better because community's excited for that holiday and it is a good time. It's easy to promote it. Yeah. So we kick off holidays at the November 1st Fridays and we're pivoting with what we do this year because our courthouse is under renovation. So we're not going to be able to light our 40-foot tree in the same spot we have in the previous years. But to
have it put in my store. But
you want to put the 40-foot tree in your store? I'm for it.
Sideways.
We are having to pivot. And so I want to invite the community to the November one because it's no longer a tree lighting ceremony, but we're going to be lighting big in the downtown. And that's exciting for us. And it's easy to plan around. So like the community now can come out to that, shop, have fun, do stuff. But July, 250th celebration. Why wouldn't we celebrate the United States? August, we're doing tie-dye. Like there's something every component that makes the event a little bit more homegrown, organic feel. And that's what I'm excited for. And then every month we initiate the conversations with vendors. We get the vendors there, we set them up, but you inherently always have a random princess show up or Spider-Man or somebody with their donkey. Like it's just the most random things that people do at First Fridays that you're like, that's the original First Fridays coming out. Like, do y'all see this random donkey that has his pink nails painted? Like somebody's bringing them just because it's their pet and they brought it. Or the guy that brings his cat lemur thing and rides on his shoulders. I'm like, welcome to Columbia. Yeah. This is First Fridays and we didn't hire that. That's truly what the community brought out tonight. And we're going to say it's fine. So
say it's fine.
I like the event is very much still organic with our residents and with the things that people love about it. Yeah, there is some true programming behind it that we make because you have to have the programming side for people to come. But I'm with you, Ryan, on this event is successful because it's continued year after year. Yeah. And I'm all in favor for lowering the demand of how many times I have to do this event just because of the logistics of it. But if it went away, if it fizzled, if it truly didn't happen for Columbia anymore, I think our downtown would absolutely would have a riot. They would absolutely be sad for something like that impact, even though it might not bring the dollars that we want every time. Definitely brings the people still. And that's where we're going to continue.
We may, as a retail store, not have seen like a plateau in sales for First Fridays, which happens. But I'm always like, it's still a marketing thing. It's still an open house, like you said earlier. Yeah. And like, that's all, we're always having people come. We've noticed like a ton of people come to our store, maybe not as much purchases, which is fine.
Sure.
But it's again, like those people are like, oh, I got to come back here.
People see it now.
Funny enough, historically seen sales the next day even higher.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to come back or whatever. Like the Saturday after ends up being pretty successful for us. So I don't know if I'd be curious if that's.
Yeah. One of my other downtown stores, which is our donut shop, Bad Bakery, she said similar thing, but hers is, we don't see people typically on a Saturday morning. People start coming in at like 7 a.m. She said on First Fridays, they don't start rolling in until closer to 9 or 10 because she's like, I don't know if they've just been like, they did a long night in downtown and they're like getting their day started later. But she said, always the day after First Fridays, our day starts around 10, not 7. I'm like, the pattern of people is that's a wild conversation.
Yeah.
So for people planning to make a visit to First Fridays, or just to Columbia, Bryson, how can people learn more about Needle and Grain first, and then we'll
just our website, needleandgrain.com, or search it. It's a pretty unique name, so just Google it. That's probably the best way. We've got Instagram, things like that.
That's easier. I think that's becoming the new internet. Just Google it.
Instagram.
It helps Instagram for sure.
Or chat.
And then of course First Fridays, Kelly, I'll let you.
Yeah.
You want to learn more about First Fridays? Where do they do that?
So we do all the advertising and marketing through Columbia Main Street. So if you follow us on social media, Columbia Main Street, that's where we post First Fridays events. Now, our Visit Columbia TN absolutely shares and promotes First Fridays for us. But if you're interested in knowing what dates or what to expect, like an FAQ of what should I wear to this month's First Fridays, it'd be found through the Columbia Main Street website and socials. So follow Columbia Main Street.
Yep. And you've been listening to Tennessee Unpacked. We record here on the center of the main stage here at the Mule House. So make sure you go to themulehouse.com. Check out all the great events that they've got going on. This is a beautiful venue. It's worth the trip in and of itself. Find the event that fits what you want to do, and they've got a bunch of them. Find out more about Tennessee Unpacked at tennesseeunpacked.com. Great logo. Made by Bryson. And and also just want to thank our producers, Spread the Positive. Want to thank Visit Columbia team, Columbia Main Street, my team at South Central Tennessee Tourism. And next time, we'll see you on Tennessee Unpacked.
Thank you for tuning into the Tennessee Unpacked podcast. Be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, we'll see you on the next one.